So we're back under the Evo for day 2 of the undercarriage rinse and undercoating. Today is actually the day for undercoating. It's a beautiful day. It's like 45 degrees in March, which is really warm for where we live. And so I'm super excited to get the car ready to get out for some nicer weather, but still protect it from the salt left over from winter. So for the tools today, we went over this yesterday a little bit too. Now we have it assembled. This is our undercoating gun. This is also called an engine wash gun. That's what the box says, so you could wash your engine with it, I suppose. We are going to try to spray the undercoating with this. Still nothing, so I just checked the compressor as well. It says you're supposed to spray between 60 to 80 PSI. The compressor's set much higher than that. And that right there might be the reason. I don't know if you can see inside that gun, but the orifice for this stuff to come through is really, really small. Yeah, this does not work for FluidFilm. Bummer. I also brought along my anti-seize. Originally, I was planning to be very focused on this and take a long time, take each bolt apart, anti-seize it, put it back together, torque it to spec, then undercoat the car. But honestly, I'm just kind of short on time and I think I'm gonna skip that step. This should provide lots of protectant for everything. So putting the anti-seize on all the bolts might be a little overkill. If you really, really, really want to make sure it's super protected, you could do that. So when we go ahead and open this up, it smells terrible, first of all. It smells like a cross between like paint and oil. And it's like super thick. Okay, actually, it's not nearly as thick as it looks. Anytime you see something that color, it's really, really thick. But it's not too bad. So now, gotta find another way to put it on. So unfortunately, we've had to take a much more backyard approach to this undercoating process. This is how much of the fluid film was in the sprayer. So I got it all, well, most of it out into this coffee can with an old crappy paintbrush. And I guess that's just the way we're gonna have to do it. You're supposed to put this stuff on between 4 to 5 millimeters thick, which is about a half a centimeter. And a centimeter is about a half an inch. So we're talking about 1/4 of an inch thick at the most. So shouldn't be too bad. I've got a wider brush for most of the frame, the drive shaft, stuff like that. But up here for the control arms and bushings and whatnot, I'm definitely gonna use the little brush to get all around. I'm assuming the best way to do this would be start from top to bottom so that you don't have to reach your hand past the stuff when you've already got it on, because then your hands and your arms will get full of it. Sort of like staining the underside of a deck, but even stinkier. If you can. When they say no drip, it is no drip. This isn't too important anyway because this is an aluminum control arm, so it won't ever rust. But nevertheless, we're gonna do everything the light touches, or everything we can see. We will undercoat to the best of our ability. So the painting process is going okay. We got Madison under here helping me now. She's got a rubber glove on. It's a little bit of water left from last night. She's actually just using her fingers and going, I don't know how to say this without it sounding terrible, but she's using her fingers and going in all the holes and making sure that they're fully lubricated and protected. But this is all from painting it on. It is kind of messy. I would definitely say don't do this if you're planning on doing suspension work anytime soon. This car already has coilovers and I'm not really planning on doing a whole lot to the suspension right now. So lubricating the axles, the spindles, you can see where I've missed there. I'm gonna go back and get that. But you know, we're getting some pretty good coverage on lots of stuff. Painting it on works, but I would definitely rather spray it. And Madison's gonna go behind and fill all these holes and I'll paint over it. Well, that's it for my first do-it-yourself undercoating. I would say it took about 4 or 5 hours combined. That's getting the car on the lift, washing it, letting it dry doesn't count because you're not really working during that time. Undercoating it, kind of messing around with the undercoating gun and realizing that that didn't work. And then of course, cleanup. A couple notes. First of all, this costs about $150. You could probably get your own undercoating for about $150, but we've still got at least 2/3 of our container of FluidFilm left. So if this is something you don't mind doing, maybe you have multiple cars, or maybe you do it once a year for 3 years, you could do this for the price of one undercoating. Probably do 2 or 3 cars for the exact same price. So it's definitely a good value if you're willing to get your hands dirty. Another note, if you don't have a hoist, we got lucky enough to have access, but I don't own this hoist. So if I didn't have access here, I would be doing this on my back on jack stands, and I probably wouldn't have wanted to use the spray gun anyway because it would be spraying all back in your face. So the paintbrush would probably be the better route for that anyway. So I would say overall it went pretty well. Everything is fairly well coated. I'll see how well it holds up in the fall when I check it again. Maybe I'll do another coat. Maybe it'll be okay on its own. But overall, pretty impressed with it. Definitely something I would recommend for Japanese cars, Nissans for sure, Mitsubishi for sure. Anything that's really known for rusting. The early Chevy Cobalts were really bad for that sort of thing. If you have a summer-driven car that you want to start using when there's salt on the roads, this is probably a really good idea. It is messy, it is stinky. I don't think it has a cure time, but we're gonna leave it on the hoist overnight and take it out tomorrow morning just in case. I think that's pretty much it. So we didn't really know what we're doing. We figured it out as we go along. Hopefully you learned a thing or two from this yourself, and you can go ahead and do your own undercoating to protect your car. Until next time, make sure you follow the channel if you don't mind. This is the shameless YouTube plug that everybody does. But definitely follow High School Teacher on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at High School Teacher. Make sure to reach out if you have any questions about any of my cars or any of the stuff that I do. I pretty much do this for me, but I do the videos for you. So if it helps, great. If it doesn't, that's the nature of YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you then.